Some men spend their whole lives searching for peace. Logan thought he'd found it. What he didn't know was that peace can disappear quietly, long before you realize something has gone terribly wrong. Logan had always considered himself one of the fortunate ones. At 41, he built a life that felt steady and predictable in all the best ways. A quiet suburban home, a career as a freelance accountant that paid the bills without stress, and above everything else, Natalie. Natalie wasn't just the love of his life. She was the center of it. Grounded, calm, radiant in that earthy, spiritual way that made people naturally gravitate toward her. She had the kind of presence that made strangers open up, the kind of warmth Logan once believed could never fade. But here's the thing about people who shine that brightly. You never imagine they could be hiding shadows of their own. So before you decide what kind of story this is, a tragedy, a betrayal, a warning, stay with me. Because the truth of what Logan discovered didn't just change his marriage. It rewired everything he thought he knew about trust, devotion, and the person sleeping next to him at night. And by the time you hear the whole story, you'll understand why even the most fortunate man can lose everything in a single, devastating moment. She'd been a yoga instructor for 7 years, and she lived every bit of the lifestyle she taught. Organic food only. Morning meditations. No chemicals, no shortcuts, no toxins. Logan used to tease her, saying she was more disciplined than a monk living on a mountaintop. But that dedication was part of why he adored her. It made the world around her feel cleaner, calmer, and him too. They'd met during a meditation retreat 5 years earlier, fell into an intense whirlwind romance, married a year later, and built a peaceful life around their shared routines. Natalie taught her classes in the mornings, met a handful of private students later in the day, while Logan worked from home balancing spreadsheets for small local businesses. Evenings were simple, slow dinners, long conversations, dreaming about trips they'd take someday. It wasn't flashy, but it felt solid. It felt honest. At least that's what Logan believed. Everything cracked open on a random Tuesday in March. Nothing dramatic about it, just one of those bright, soft spring days when the cold finally loosens its grip. Logan was in his office, surrounded by numbers and invoices, when his phone buzzed. It was an audio message from Natalie. Those were his favorite. She sent them often, tiny little check-ins that wrapped around him like a warm embrace. Logan smiled automatically and pressed play. "Hey love, I love you. Come home soon, okay?" Her voice was soft, rushed, affectionate. His chest warmed instantly, until something in the background made his smile freeze. A sharp crack. A faint hiss. The unmistakable sound of a can being opened. Logan blinked. "Can? Beer?" He played it again, turning the volume up. No mistake, that was a beer can opening. But Natalie hated beer. Not casually. Not like a typical preference. She treated beer like poison. Gluten, toxins, industrial yeast, she'd say with her gentle but judgmental voice. She wouldn't touch it at barbecues, holidays, parties, nothing. What? Occasionally. Botanical gin? Sure. But beer? Absolutely never. And yet, that sound. Clear as day. Logan's throat tightened. Maybe it was background noise? A TV? Someone passing by? But Natalie wasn't out. She'd said she was visiting her mother, who was still recovering from hip surgery. And Martha certainly didn't drink beer. Her house had been alcohol-free since her husband passed. Something wasn't adding up. And then the bigger red flag. Whenever Natalie visited her mother, she always video called Logan. Always. To show him how her mom was doing, to give updates, to chat. But today, just a quick audio message. Logan checked the time, 2:30 p.m., and before he could talk himself out of it, he called his mother-in-law. Martha answered after 3 rings. "Hi, Logan. How are you, dear?" "I'm good," he said lightly. "How are you feeling today?" "Much better," she replied. "The physical therapist came earlier. She helped a lot." Logan hesitated, his heartbeat quickening. "Is Natalie there?" "Natalie? No, dear." A confused pause. "She called this morning and said she had a private class today, so she wouldn't be coming." "What? Is something wrong?" Logan felt the floor tilt under him. No, nothing's wrong. Just checking. Take care, Martha." He hung up. Silence pressed in on him like a weight. Natalie had lied. Not a white lie. A deliberate one. And the beer sound? Wrong. Completely wrong. A tremor of anger, or fear, cut through him. He wasn't impulsive, but something inside him snapped loose. He opened the shared location app they used for safety. The little blue dot representing Natalie hadn't moved for 20 minutes. He zoomed in. A condo complex. Near the lake. 15 minutes from home. He knew the building, modern, quiet, upscale. But he didn't know anyone who lived there. And Natalie certainly had no reason to be inside. Before he even realized he'd made the decision, Logan grabbed his keys and walked out the door. The drive felt unreal. His hands sweating on the steering wheel, his thoughts spinning in circles. He kept trying to rationalize the situation, to come up with any explanation that didn't involve betrayal. A new private student? A last-minute class? Someone else drinking beer? But something in his gut screamed the truth he didn't want to face. He reached the condo building around 3:05 p.m., parking across the street. Logan approached the gate cautiously, and then he saw it. Natalie's silver Honda Civic. Parked in a visitor spot. She was here. Logan's stomach twisted. He returned to his car and waited, eyes fixed on the entrance like a man watching the end of his life approach. Minutes dragged. 20 minutes felt like hours. Then, at 3:27 p.m., she appeared. Natalie walked out of the building in black leggings, a sports top, and sneakers, workout clothes, nothing unusual, except everything was unusual. Her hair was loose instead of tied back the way she always wore it while teaching. And she wasn't alone. A tall man walked beside her. Athletic, well-groomed beard, fitted t-shirt, running shorts. He stepped close, rested his hand on her waist, pulled her toward him, and kissed her. Not a polite kiss. Not a goodbye peck. A real kiss, intimate, familiar, practiced. Logan didn't feel the world fall apart. It was worse. He felt it quietly collapse inside him, piece by piece. The kiss wasn't a casual slip of affection. It was slow, intimate, the kind of lingering connection shared between two people who knew each other far too well. Watching it, Logan felt something inside him quietly shatter. His hand moved on instinct. Phone out. Camera open. Click, click, click. 5, 6, 7 photos, each one a punch to the chest. The man whispered something in Natalie's ear. She laughed, a soft, familiar laugh Logan hadn't heard in weeks. Then they separated. Natalie headed to her car, drove off without even glancing back. The man waved at her retreating car before strolling into the building like nothing sinful had just happened. Logan didn't move for a long moment. He just stared at the photos glowing on his screen, his breath uneven, his heart thudding like a distant drum. He recognized the man, not as a friend, but from pictures Natalie had shown him. Blake Morrison, partner at an architecture firm. The same firm where Natalie taught a weekly corporate yoga session. She had mentioned him before. Blake's a great guy. Blake always pushes himself in class. Blake really respects the practice. Logan had never suspected anything. Why would he? Natalie had always appeared so open, so grounded, so incapable of deceit. The drive home was a blur, roads, lights, turns, all blending together into a numb haze. When Logan finally sank onto the living room sofa, he felt hollow. A silent storm churned inside him. Anger tangled with heartbreak, confusion swallowing clarity. At 5:15 p.m., the front door opened. Natalie walked in smiling, her energy bright, carefree. "Hey, love," she said, placing her bag on the counter before leaning in to kiss him. Logan didn't move. She blinked, confused. "How was your day?" "How was yours?" Logan asked, monotone. Natalie sighed dramatically and sank beside him. "Exhausting. The private class was intense. My new student's super dedicated but also kinda draining. After that I stopped at the pharmacy for Mom's medicine." Logan slowly turned toward her. "Strange," he said quietly. "Your mom said you weren't visiting today." Natalie froze for half a second, barely noticeable but long enough. "What? Of course I did. I called her earlier." Logan cut in gently. "She said you told her you had a private class and wouldn't be coming." Natalie blinked rapidly, scrambling for footing. Oh, right. Yes. I told her that in the morning, but then I changed my mind and stopped by quickly. Just to drop off the medicine. I see, Logan murmured. His voice was steady, too steady. And this private class, where exactly was it? A client's place. Near downtown. The address. Natalie's eyebrows pinched. Why are you interrogating me, Logan? Just curious. I don't remember the address. Was a condo. Near the lake. Her voice betrayed her, a slight quiver, a flicker of fear. Logan's expression didn't change. He simply pulled out his phone and placed it on her lap. Photos. Natalie and Blake kissing. Blake's hand on her waist. Natalie smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at Logan in months. Her face drained of color. Logan, I can explain. He looked at her with an emptiness she had never seen. Can you? Then explain it. Explain the lies. Explain the kiss. Explain the sound of beer in the message you sent me, when you despise beer. Natalie opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. It's not what it looks like. Logan stood abruptly, heat rising off him like smoke. Not what it looks like. It looks like my wife, my disciplined, spiritual, honest wife, is having an affair with Blake. The Blake you told me was such a great guy. The Blake you thought took yoga seriously. Tears spilled down Natalie's cheeks. Logan, please, just listen. How long? He demanded. She said nothing. Logan's voice cracked as he shouted, How long? Natalie flinched. 6 months, she whispered. Logan felt the strength leave his legs. 6 months. Half a year of deception. Half a year of pretending. Half a year of sleeping beside him while dreaming about someone else. His voice was barely human when he said, Get out of my house. Logan, please, we can talk. Get out. Shaking, Natalie grabbed her bag, sobbing uncontrollably, and rushed out. Logan listened to the sound of her car disappearing down the street before collapsing onto the sofa, breathless, gutted. But the agony didn't last long. Something colder took its place. Not rage. Not hatred. Determination. This wasn't going to end in tears. It would end with truth. The very next morning, Logan hired a private investigator, a stone-faced man named Frank who had clearly seen more broken marriages than he cared to admit. These cases are common, Frank said. People who cheat tend to repeat patterns. They get careless. I'll get you what you need. 48 hours later, Logan received a thick dossier. It was worse than he'd imagined. Photos of Natalie entering Blake's apartment. 8 different times over the last 3 weeks. Messages recovered from cloud backups Logan never knew existed. Explicit conversations, plans, inside jokes, moments. One message burned itself into Logan's mind. Logan is too boring. Blake makes me feel alive again. Another. Sex with Logan feels mechanical. I want passion. Every sentence cut deeper. But the worst blow came at the end. Blake wasn't just some single guy chasing thrills. He was married. 12 years married. With a wife named Lauren. And 3 children. Natalie knew. She wrote messages about avoiding Lauren, timing visits so the kids wouldn't be home. Logan felt his stomach turn. This wasn't just betrayal, it was devastation spread across 2 families. He spent days organizing everything into a single digital folder. Photos, messages, reports. And on Monday he made his move. First, he submitted everything to his divorce attorney. Then he did the one thing that shook him to the core. He found Lauren's Facebook profile, smiling family photos, happy children, and sent her the full dossier. His hands trembled as he pressed send. But the truth had to go somewhere. Lauren deserved the truth just as much as Logan did, and he knew hiding it would only deepen the damage. So he kept his message short, cold, clean, and honest. Lauren, my name is Logan. We've never met, but we need to talk. Your husband is having an affair with my wife. I've attached everything. I'm sorry you had to find out like this. Before fear or doubt could push him to delete it, he hit send. 3 hours crawled by before his phone finally rang. Unknown number. He answered. Logan? This is Lauren Morrison. Her voice sounded controlled, almost calm. But beneath the steady tone, Logan could hear something trembling, pain, disbelief, fury folded together. "Thank you for telling me," she said quietly. "I had absolutely no idea." "Neither did I," Logan replied. "And I'm sorry for what this is going to do to your home." "Don't apologize," Lauren snapped, not at him but at the situation, at the betrayal. "Save your sympathy for yourself. And tell your wife something for me." Logan waited. "I'm going to ruin him," she said. "My father's an attorney." Blake has no clue what he's just set in motion. For the first time in weeks, Logan felt something that wasn't grief. It wasn't joy either. More like justice tightening its grip. And justice came fast. Over the next few weeks, everything around Natalie and Blake collapsed like a tower built on wet sand. Lauren filed for divorce immediately, no hesitation, demanding full custody, maximum alimony, and every legal penalty the state still allowed. She even filed an alienation of affection lawsuit directly against Natalie, a law most people didn't even realize still existed. The story spread. Their social circle lit up with whispers. The yoga studio Natalie worked at received a flood of complaints, students saying they didn't feel safe or respected being taught by someone who had blown apart a family. Under mounting pressure, the owner fired her. Blake didn't escape either. His partners at the architecture firm didn't hesitate. They pushed him out to protect the company's image. He lost his job, his reputation, and most of all, his children. The court granted him only supervised weekend visits. And the cruelest twist? Lauren's family was wealthy, old money wealthy. Their prenup had a strict clause. No shared assets, no payouts, no protection. Blake walked away with nothing but debt and disgrace, and a lifetime of alimony. Meanwhile, Natalie tried to crawl back. She came to Logan's door 3 separate times, knocking, crying, pleading through the wood. She spoke of guilt, confusion, mistakes, love. Logan didn't listen. He would approach the door, look at her shaking silhouette behind the frosted glass, and shut it again. Soon after, he sold the house, the place that now felt poisoned by memory, and moved into a smaller apartment across town. He started therapy. He forced himself to rebuild brick by brick. And slowly, painfully, it worked. He went out with friends. He rediscovered hobbies he'd forgotten. He hit the gym again. His life wasn't glowing, but it was breathing. Then, one Thursday night, 6 months after everything, Logan was grabbing drinks with colleagues. And there she was, Natalie, sitting alone at a small table in the corner, scrolling her phone like she was searching for a version of herself she'd lost. Her hair was dull. Her clothes looked worn and lifeless. The spark she'd always carried, gone. She looked more like a shadow than a person. Logan turned back to his group and kept laughing with his co-workers. He felt no anger, no ache, nothing. Natalie wasn't part of his story anymore. When he finally left, he walked past her table. She lifted her eyes, offered a fragile smile, one that trembled at the edges. "Logan," she whispered. He paused, just long enough to speak. "Take care, Natalie." And he walked away without a single backward glance. 3 months later, life surprised him. He met Carla at a book event, a 38-year-old librarian with soft eyes and a quiet laugh. They bonded first over novels, then over stories of heartbreak, then over how betrayal changes a person. Carla had been cheated on too. She understood. There was no pressure, no rush, just 2 people gently learning how to trust the world again. And little by little, Logan realized something profound. He could love again. He could trust again. Not blindly but wisely. Then, one night in Carla's kitchen, while they chopped vegetables and argued playfully about pasta sauce, Logan's phone buzzed. A number he hadn't saved, but one he would never forget. "Natalie." "Logan. I know you don't want to speak to me, but please read this. I ruined everything. You were the best thing in my life and I destroyed it. Blake dumped me. I lost my job. My friends. My family barely speaks to me. I've changed. I'm in therapy. Please, can we try again? Even just talk?" Logan stared at the message for a long moment before exhaling a slow, heavy sigh. Then he handed the phone to Carla. "Are you going to answer her?" she asked quietly. "No," Logan said. No hesitation. No second guessing. He deleted the message, blocked the number, and felt something he hadn't felt in months. Relief. Real, honest relief. Carla stepped closer, her smile soft and full of pride. She kissed him gently. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. Logan nodded, eyes steady. "Yeah, I'm proud of me too." Because in that moment he had chosen himself. Chosen truth over deception. Healing over heartbreak. Clarity over chaos. And that single choice changed everything. Sometimes all it takes is one careless sound, like the pop of a beer can in the background of a rushed audio message, to crack open an entire double life. Logan never heard that sound again without remembering. Not with bitterness, not with sadness, but with certainty. The certainty that walking away didn't break him. It saved him. If this story resonated with you, make sure to subscribe to Dark Infidelity Stories, where every betrayal is exposed, every lesson hits deep, and every ending reveals the truth people try to hide. Don't forget to like, share, and comment to help the channel grow and keep these powerful stories coming.